So today I'm doing the weather stripping for the T-tops. So here's what we got going on. So I had to paint these T-tops, so I had to take all the metal trim off. So if you're just doing the weather stripping, you can ignore this first part where I'm putting this metal trim back on. So first place we're going to start is you got to have this corner piece on here. And you got to drill out these old rivets. So you got rivets that hold this piece in. And so there's one here on the corner at the front. And then you got, you know, however many you got along here. So the rivets I'm using to put this back on are these here, 3/16 by 1/4 inch. And some weather stripping adhesive here. This is 3M 08008. Actually, here's the box here. And put a little squeeze of this basically along here. And then we'll put this on. So basically, that'll go on there like that. So we want to have some of this goop underneath of here so that, you know, because the water can run in between the T-top and the underside of this trim here. So you want to have some goop underneath of this. And then we'll rivet this in. And but we want to put the front piece on first. So this piece here, it just snaps on, and then that piece goes on, and then you got this little corner piece. So I'll throw this together real quick to show you what that looks like. So this front piece, I don't put any weather stripping adhesive underneath of here because it has these little spots here that are kind of pushed in, and so it kind of helps grab so this thing can't slide off of here. And I'm not worried about putting any goop in there. So it doesn't, you know, at first I was going to put some in there to keep this thing in there, but it's in there pretty good. I mean, you really got to push on it to pull it off of there. So then we can put this piece here on. Of course, we still need to put some goop on it. And then this piece goes in here like that. So I'm going to squeeze some goop under this. And then I'll put a little underneath of this piece here. And then we'll rivet all these on. So we've got our goop right along the edge there. So we'll go ahead and put this piece in now. That. Okay, I put a little goop on the back side of this just to kind of help keep it down. And put that on there, and then we'll go ahead and rivet that in again with these here rivets. So I've got the rivets just setting in there, so this way I know they're all in, sitting in the hole before I actually start riveting them. Now on this one here, it's kind of a weird hole, and when you start to drill that out, you just kind of have to find a rivet that fits. So on the other T-top I did, this ended up being a really skinny rivet, but on this one I had to use a little bit fatter of a rivet. But it's different than these ones here. It's a lot shorter. So let me show you what I mean here. Like that there, because it, you know, it won't go in quite as deep because it's on an angle here. All right, so I'm gonna put these in now. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a bead of this weather stripping adhesive. We're gonna run it all the way around this. up to here. And also you want to go through, before you do that, you want to make sure that you go through and poke something in all these holes to make sure there's nothing left behind. So when you took the old weather stripping out, sometimes you get these little things, they'll break off and they'll stick down inside there. So make sure they're all knocked out first. And then we can put our weather stripping in there. So the way this will go is you got this metal piece here. It'll go on and it'll get screwed in through that hole there. And what I'll do is I'll put that screw in first and then start working it down after I have the glue on, of course. And then I'll start pushing these things in all the way around. And then you'll have to take this screw out again later on whenever you put this piece in here. And so then that screw will go, and then that screw will go through there as well. But just to get this started, I'll put the screw in there first, just to hold it in place, and then I'll start pulling it and working it around. So I've got the bead on here. Well, I'm gonna let it set up for a few seconds. After 30 seconds or so, it starts to get a little stickier and tackier, so I'll hold it in a little better. It won't be so messy. And these here, when you put these screws in, the original ones are kind of a countersunk screw there. And I noticed that this piece of the weather stripping, you know, when you put this on, the metal that's in here seems to be maybe a little thicker than the original. And because these screws here, they seem to be a little too short in some of the areas to get it all the way down through, you know, especially once you go through this thing here too, on this end one. I think it was this end and this end on the other T-top I did. I had to use a longer screw, and so I just used some of these ones here. And these are a number 832. So if you're looking for something, might want to have just a couple on hand just in case. So this should be ready to go. So I'm going to screw this end in here and then start pulling it down. Okay, so that's just screwed in there just temporarily, just to hold it in place. So I've got this first one in, and now I'm just going to pull it down and just stick all those little plastic things in these holes and just work it all the way around. It's really not too difficult. Okay, so that only took maybe 30 seconds to run that all the way around. And then what I'll do is over here where this piece hangs up at this end, I'm going to take a razor blade and I'll just cut it straight across here. But when I cut it though, I'll cut it so that it's not perfectly flush here, but maybe up about like that. Just up above this metal trim. And that way, whenever this piece here goes on, okay, this flat part down here, it's kind of hard to see here, but this little triangle piece that sticks out right here is going to sit down on top of it. And so you want to kind of cut it high so that this kind of pushes this piece down. Okay, so you can see here I got this piece will go in, but it's going to sit on top like this. So that's why I cut it a little high. That way when it gets, the screw goes in, it pushes it down and it makes it nice and tight right here along this edge. And you'll put a little glue on here as well. Okay, so now I'll run, this is the bottom side here, so I'm going to run some glue here. And then just right down along this edge, drop it on there and put those 4 screws in. And that's pretty much about it. So let's do that now. Okay, so see, this is the bottom side here. We got glue on there. I've got a little bit of glue underneath of this piece here. You can see it's down in there. And then we got glue on the end of our weather stripping over here. So now we'll just stick that on, put those 4 screws in. Okay, so get that screwed in. So again, on this one, I ended up using those longer screws on the 2 ends. And just the older screws here in the middle. But you can see how we got that piece there glued in. And over here, there's glue underneath of that connection there. And that's pretty much about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this piece on here, which is just this little guy. And yeah, and then I'm gonna put the T-top on and then lock it in. And that way it'll kind of, everything will kind of sit and glue up where it needs to be. And that should be about it. And there we go, all mounted up. Sitting on there pretty nice. So that's about it for that video. So hopefully that helped you out. And if it did, like, subscribe, comment, do all those fun, great, wonderful things. And we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.